One of the biggest questions I always get asked is, how can you create more money? How can you manifest more wealth into your life? So today I'm going to talk about three of the simplest ways that you can start to understand why often we push away abundance. We don't have the capacity to hold abundance. I want to explain it to you so you start to actually use what I'm talking about. Because until I used this work on myself, I was stuck in a very limited mindset and I was giving out the energy of lack in everything. I had fear of money. I had fear of not ever having enough. And I never believed I could even have the capacity or the possibility would ever come to me that I could earn that kind of money I dreamed of. So I want to start today because we've got to understand a little bit more about ourselves and our self-awareness. And I will keep repeating this because it is the biggest reason why most people don't get what they want in life, because they don't have the self-awareness of what it is they're blocking and preventing coming in. Now, we are all energy. We're made up of energy. We vibrate in frequencies that are emitted throughout the universe. And this is spoken by some of the world's top teachers. Bob Proctor often spoke about the frequencies that we are working with, the law of attraction. And it is so true. We are either repelling or we're bringing something in towards us. And 9 times out of 10, if you haven't got the self-awareness of why you're repelling something, you're not going to change it. So the very first thing we need to look at is understanding our belief system that we had created for us throughout our life, from other people's ideas, their concepts of how we should be, the beliefs we made up about ourselves when we felt less than good enough, and how they implanted into our subconscious mind and started just automatically running your day-to-day life. From everything you do, from the very second that you open your eyes in the morning to the minute you go to sleep, you are 95% running a program that you might not be consciously aware of right now. But I'm hoping in this session you have the understanding to then notice that you have full control on exactly how much abundance you allow into your life or how much you reject. So your belief system, and especially around money, is imperative to start to write out, journal about, and find out what it is that you truly believe about money. Now, I was speaking to someone the other day and they literally said they hate the idea of being rich. And that really wasn't what I was expecting, but I do hear it more often. And it often comes from women more than men, of this fear of holding this abundance that they crave for so much, but they're not willing to accept. And some of the ways that we can find out what our beliefs are is to simply notice what you aren't having in your life and what you're wishing for in your life. So if you're at that point in life that you're just not able to maybe get that rise or that promotion, or the money seems to be stuck at that same level constantly, no matter what you do, how much you work, how hard you put the effort in, but nothing seems to get past what they call like the barrier, then we can start to notice that you probably got a belief that states that your self-worth is set at that amount of money. Now, that might be imprinted through childhood, watching parents struggle and watching family members or society telling you that it's wrong to want more. It's greedy. Don't be greedy. You know, there's not enough to go around. And so then you will probably make yourself have a cap. And believe it or not, those beliefs, which then influence all of your experiences, because you would do what you believe. The universe will give you back what you believe. So if you believe you can't earn more than that, and you keep telling yourself, I just keep doing it and I can't do this, the universe's laws of attraction will literally reflect that back to you and give that opportunity again. You'll find maybe another opportunity at work that will reflect that back to you. You might even find partners that can't get past their budget on their level. And again, you're feeling that stuck, that resistance, and you start getting depressed and anxious, and you're fed up because you can't actually go out and do the things that you love to do. But until you can start to pick apart the beliefs that are holding you where you are now, because once you understand them, you can start to change them. You can start putting in more and planting more empowering beliefs into your subconscious mind. And remember, your subconscious mind is the hub, is the main place that you want to be putting in what it is you want more of, and also need to start discovering what beliefs are ruling your life every day. And some aren't visible. We repeat patterns, don't we, with overspending, or we don't seem to be able to buy the right things, or we're not so good at actually receiving money. Now, this is the next subject, because once you just start discovering some of your beliefs, and you can see that maybe you just don't feel worthy of it. You don't feel good enough. You don't feel capable of holding on to money. Money isn't safe for your nervous system right now. But until you can change those, nothing really does change. And the next thing I want to talk about is the actual acceptance of abundance, wealth, and prosperity. And that sounds funny, doesn't it? Actually, who wouldn't want to receive more abundance? But you might be shocked what I'm about to tell you, because it's something I had to learn the hard way. Like I've told you about this before, I had a very limiting mindset, very, very negative. I hated myself. I didn't find myself in any positive thoughts. And if they were literally pushed out with more negative thoughts. No wonder I attracted those conditions, those experiences, those partners, every part of my life seemed to have the same. But what I'm talking about now is then the universe will always give you abundance. You were put on this planet to be full of expression, full of money, full of wealth, full of abundance, full of joy, full of happiness. That was your birthright, and it still is now. Until we had the conditions, the patterns, the beliefs, which blurred the vision, which stopped us reaching out, which made us fearful of expansion, of being seen for who we truly were, we stayed small. But when I mean the universe is constantly giving you more abundance, what I mean is, how many compliments do you actually fully accept with gratitude and love? How many times when somebody gives you a compliment do you go, wow, thank you, and really let that absorb? Because if you were anything like I used to be, I would absolutely reject them, and actually it could trigger me into feeling even less worthy, almost like it was a dig or it was a jab at me, when really that person was giving me their genuine compliment. But my nervous system, my beliefs, where I felt so unworthy of love and so unworthy of care, that actually that triggered me and made me feel even more despair. And as I started to understand this role within me, I started to think, well, maybe I can allow some of these compliments in. And working throughout the NHS, I started to gradually learn to accept them, little ones. And eventually I started to notice that I was more freely giving them then. Because I don't think I was giving out the compliments because I didn't believe in them myself. So how could I give them out? So I want you to start to notice, where are you accepting compliments? Maybe it's help. Maybe people are offering you small gestures of help and you keep refusing them because there's so much shame or so much fear And if you're people pleasing, believe me, you will be absolutely rejecting help in any form. You think you have to be self-sufficient. You think you have to do it all by yourself to prove you're worthy. That isn't truth. It's not your truth. It's a condition. It's a lie, a big fat lie. We are all supposed to be helping each other. We are not supposed to be isolated, feeling that we've got to do everything by ourselves, that we've got to be the grafter, that we've got to be absolutely exhausted every day just to get through. That isn't truth. That's a belief. That's an illusion that you've been given from society, from culture, from everybody in our past, because that's what they believed. But it doesn't mean it's true. We don't live in the 1950s. We live in the most prosperous time this planet has ever been in, with accessible amounts of abundance. So easily accessible. But if your beliefs say they're not, and you think money is hard to make, then that's exactly going to be your experience. No matter how hard you push, you're just going to continuously push that abundance away. And the beautiful thing is, self-awareness is simply asking yourself a few questions every day and noticing what feelings start to come up. And are you going almost contracting away when someone speaks about money? Because you'll notice people that have real wealth will always freely talk about money. If I'm around friends that have got good amounts of money, good wealth, they will openly express what they spend on things. And sometimes I used to think, wow, is that just trying to rub it in? Is that trying to annoy me? Why would they tell me that? When in actual fact, to them, because money was just money, it wasn't a fearful feeling of thought. It was just an access to what they wanted. Why would they feel ashamed about talking about money? Whereas most of us that come from lack will find it aggravating, almost like someone's trying to rub it in your face, that they've got more than you and look what they can do with it. So notice if you aren't quite on board with accepting other people's wealth as well. Because if we're walking around going, oh my God, look at that car rich git, and, who's he to deserve that? And, oh, aren't they lucky? Or you're noticing you're commenting negatively on anybody that's showing off their wealth, then guess what the universe is going to give you more of? Exactly that. You won't be at the point of being able to freely accept it when the universe is always trying to give it to you. And it doesn't matter the amount. The smallest gesture of help that you receive from somebody else with gratitude will start your nervous system to say it's safe to receive more abundance. So it's not going to be something massive, because that's probably going to trigger you. But if it's going to come back down to you actually now being able to offer more compliments, more services of help, opening that door, letting somebody come out in front of you in a car. It's the simple things. The more you give out, the more you get back. The more you are open to, the more that flows in. And the more times you start to have this self-awareness every day and notice what you're saying to yourself. And I don't want you to come down hard and start judging yourself and criticizing. I want you just to simply understand, wow, I don't have such good, maybe my beliefs around money, no wonder. And that's fine, because then you can start doing the work to start to help change. Because the minute you start to flip the script, you're now working with the universe, which will start giving you more abundance. And another one is the gratitude, the self-awareness of understanding what abundance is. Now, to receive more abundance, we've got to be grateful and have gratitude and awareness of what we got already. And we are so fortunate to have the amount of abundance we already got. So what do I mean? I want you now, because wherever you're sat, listening to this, you'll be surrounded by immense amounts of abundance. So at the minute, I can notice out in my garden and all around the fields an absolute abundance. The plants are flourishing. They are spectacular. And that rapeseed is the brightest yellow and it's continuous. And I wake up every morning and the first thing I can see when I undo the curtains is this bright yellow glow across the whole field. And it is absolutely spectacular. And I literally start my morning by going, I am so grateful. Wow, look at all that abundance. And the more I start to use this in my everyday speech, the more I'm becoming open to receiving, and literally things will start to change within 24 hours of doing this practice. But if I'm waking up going, oh God, here we go again. Oh, do I have to go to work? Do I have to do this? I'm instantly attracting more things for me to make me feel in lack. So it's all to do with the energy that we are giving out that will become the magnet to what will draw into us. So if you're constantly with thoughts of negativity, you're going to attract more negative experiences, outcomes, feelings, emotions, which in the end become excessively draining, high anxiety and depression, because we don't understand why we feel that way. But when you start having self-awareness, being fully responsible and accepting, okay, they may be my thoughts, but I have the capability and I have access to the support to change them, then the universe goes, great, I'm going to show you, and start to bring into your life the people that will help you. There's a little saying, isn't there? You'll never get a teacher until you call upon or need one. And then suddenly all these people that you were asking for suddenly come into your life. That isn't coincidence. That's the universe giving you the gift. But if you're not aware or self-aware enough to see, to believe that, that's what it is. And in the beginning, it does feel a bit odd. One of my first experiences when I had my awakening was suddenly I was drawn to books. Now, I hadn't read a book and picked one up in over 30 years, but the obsession and all of them were relating to asking it as given. In other words, manifesting is a daily practice that we all have the capability of being as rich as the richest person that you can imagine already. But it's your beliefs and it's you holding yourself behind that door. So why would you want to continue? So my philosophy had always been, I had never felt I earned enough. It was just enough to cover the bills. And then I was left in debt. I was constantly using credit cards and loans, but actually they're good. And that's a whole nother, video, because there's nothing wrong in loans and debts. As long as you're affording them, that's another accessible capacity for the universe to give you money. So there's nothing wrong in debt, by the way. And sometimes we can flip that and actually start to use it in the right way. But today I want you to start to notice, what are you grateful for currently? And I want you to walk around your house and just notice all the abundance. Now, I'm looking at the moment and I've got the most fantastic bookcase with books. The abundance of books and knowledge and people's lives written in those books that I get to read that enhances my subconscious mind, my life, and helps me improve my life. That's the biggest abundance I can imagine. I've got an abundance of food in the kitchen and access to food, abundance of water. I don't have to worry. I can leave the tap running on. I don't, but I could. I don't have to worry about putting the dishwasher on and thinking, is there enough water? I don't get into a bath and think, oh my gosh, have I taken up everyone else's water? I don't have to worry. I don't have to think. I can literally turn on the shower and leave it all day if I wanted to. The water would continuously run. And the other thing I want to speak about is accepting that bills are actually mini blessings because of what you get from them. If we're constantly moaning about, I haven't got enough money, but I've got to pay the electric, the gas, the water, the council tax. I've got to pay the petrol's going up. And all of these bills and insurances and food prices are going up. But the abundance that you have is phenomenal because you can afford them. It's where you don't see what you've got is creating the belief that you don't have enough. When you start flipping this and walking around every day, noticing abundance, you become open to actually appreciating more that you've got. And when you appreciate more that you've got, the universe will naturally give you the ideas, the opportunities, the ways to bring more of what it is you want into your life. And I will always show gratitude for every bill I pay. Because if I really thought about electricity, and everybody moans about the price of it going up, but if I look at what electricity gives me, and how over 2 billion people on this planet do not have that luxury, I want you to go around the house and appreciate what electricity brings to you. Because it heats all your water. So I get a hot shower. I get a hot bath. I don't have to stand in the freezing cold. I also get to wash my clothes with hot water that the electricity is done through the washing machine. So my clothes are clean and smell nice, that make me feel good. And I get to wash up in hot water, so my plates are hygienically clean and I don't become ill. So there's all these factors, and including what I'm doing now. Without electricity, I couldn't reach the tens of thousands and millions of people across the world by just sitting in one space. So electricity, your phone, the accessibility, the connections, the work, whatever it is, you've got to appreciate actually paying bills is abundant. And it's flipping these mindsets and changing what we're allowing to grow in our subconscious mind and actually be our projection of the world that will give you more abundance, because it's all about the feeling. So write out your beliefs, the limiting beliefs around money, and start to flip them. Use affirmations. And then I want you to get more self-awareness of where in life you do have abundance. And I want you daily to talk about this and bring it up in conversation and use it in front of other people and just be grateful for what the abundance we have. Look at the abundance of nature, the abundance of love that's out there, the animals, the birds, the abundance of all the clothes in your wardrobe that are probably overflowing, and start to come back to a feeling of gratitude, not lack. And then I want you to do the most important one. And I want you to test this over the next 24 hours or 48 hours, because it does work. I want you to sit down quietly, take a few deep breaths, and just allow your body to relax. And I want you to start to visualize something coming into your life in the next 24, 48 hours. And start with something small. So it could be an offer of help. It could be a small amount of money just unexpectedly showing up. It could be gifted to you. It could come through any source, but probably something that you weren't expecting. And I want you to notice if you suddenly start getting compliments or something that wouldn't have normally happened. It might not be exactly as you visualize it, but it could be something similar. Because if you're very negative bias to begin with, It's practicing doing this that will start to get you the exact results, but it works. So let's try to actually see what abundance is about, rather than focus on the lack. Because the more you focus on lack, the more lack there is, and the more abundance is just going away. So just try and understand that you are the creator. You are the magnet to whatever you are giving out energetically. And tuning into the frequency of abundance starts with you internally.